welcome me into this demo and discussion, extending AP automation with the vendor portal and approval app. As mentioned, my name is Jason Lehman, Solutions Marketing Manager, and I'm joined by Colby Little, Sales Solution Engineer. Here's our agenda for today's discussion and demo. I'm going to go through quickly just speaker and company introductions, just making sure everyone understands and knows who Hyland is and what we do. I'll give a brief overview of the vendor portal and invoice approval app as well. And then Colby will demonstrate those solutions for you, starting with the vendor portal and then moving on to the invoice approval app. And at the end, we will leave plenty of time for questions. So, yep, that's me. That's what I look like. Jason Lehman, Solutions Marketing Manager for Cross Industry. And I really focus on our back office solutions within AP and HR. Joining me today and doing the demo is Colby Little. Hi, Colby.
Hello, everyone. Yep, Colby Little here, Sales Solution Engineer with my primary focus on back office as well, with real focus on the AP invoice processing, as well as HR, employee file management.
Awesome. Thanks, Colby. So just a brief overview of Hyland, the company. We've been around since 1991, really focusing on the development of content management or content services solutions for the back office and specific verticalized applications. We're a global company, about 3,000 employees now, and we support over 14,000 customers. Also have a strong partner ecosystem with about 500 partners. And we provide a range of capabilities for managing content and processes. They're represented here in the context of really this information lifecycle. So managing all the content, the high value content in the organization. Don't have to be used in any specific order. We have solutions really in each one of these categories that you can purchase and use in your organization. And you can deploy any number of these to match the unique needs across all your departments. But as you go around, starting from left to right, we have capture tools, capture all types of content with intelligent automation to classify, extract, and validate critical incoming information. You have the manage component, organize and manage to optimize content across the organization and really provide users with that complete view. The automate function is really using machine-centric interaction with content to intelligently automate tasks. This is a lot of times thought as workflow and process where you're writing documents, you're managing exceptions to really enhance those processes. And then process, this is really the human-centric interaction where you're viewing content, you need to take action on that, and you want to route content to the next person to support cases and, as I mentioned, workflows. And then the collaborate function, really, I think we all know what this is. We have collaborate tools. And collaborate on documents and extend related processes to those inside and outside your organization. The communicate capability is to automate the process of creating and distributing that content, really serving it up to your stakeholders, finding the content, various search engines and search capabilities so you can locate the content. And what we provide is finding that content in context of your business applications like your ERP system. And then governing that content, really to centralize and automate the full end-to-end from creation to deletion, governing and managing that content. At the bottom, we have some extended capabilities. I'm sure you've heard about most of these, but we do have tools for artificial intelligence, robotic process and automation or RPA, digital asset management, blockchain, and federation. So all these components really make up some of our solutions that we offer within Hyland. But really for today, the focus of today's discussion and demo will be around solutions that we have within our accounts payable and back office solutions, which is built off our flagship content services platform called OnBase. And that AP solution for invoice processing is really where Hyland fits in the larger source to pay market. So all the things that happen for you to purchase products or services, we and Hyland, we come in at the end of that where you need to pay your vendors. So that's what's highlighted here. So you have to process your invoices and get them posted for payment in your ERP, and that's where Hyland can help automate. And these are the components that make up that automation and that solution. Process really starts with capture. As I mentioned, that one of our products that we have in the portfolio are intelligent capture solutions. That includes document and data capture and using OCR to extract and parse invoice data into your respective ERP fields to really reduce that manual keying. We have an automated learning engine for this that incorporates this OCR, and it doesn't use templates for the document classification and data extraction, but really learns to where to look for the invoice data after processing a small learned set of documents that you introduce to the system. Our AP solution integrates with all the major ERPs, providing that API level data connections, enabling you to find and view invoices, as I said earlier, really in context of your main ERP interface, and then pass along that invoice data to your ERP so that it can be paid. We have a built-in workflow engine that can be configured per your business rules to route invoices for review and approval, really excelling at invoice exception processing. And all the invoices and associated content is stored and managed in our flagship content management content services platform, again, called OnBase, really providing that end-to-end lifecycle management. And finally, this solution comes with performance reports and dashboards to really help your AP department identify process bottlenecks and throughput data to see where parts of the process can be improved. So as I mentioned earlier, what we're discussing and demoing today are two of our complementary solutions for accounts payable automation. And those solutions have been available for several years now, and were really initially developed to help our customers further streamline the overall AP process. So starting with the vendor portal, the solution provides an online portal for vendors to upload their invoices and other documents, essentially helping them to expedite invoice submission to their customer. The AP Invoice Approval app is a mobile-ready application with a personalized UI that enables organizations to extend approvals, that approvals process out to key stakeholders that may not be necessarily AP professionals or OnBase experts. And again, as I mentioned earlier, these solutions are built off the OnBase content services platform. Quick overview of the vendor supplier portal. So for accounts payable, sending paper-based invoices via the mail or email and PDF forms can slow processing and creates inefficiencies. So this portal really allows you to go online securely and send your invoices to your customers. And from there, once you've done that, you can check on payment status, and essentially any content uploaded can be used to trigger workflow in Hyland's content services platform. So for customers that are looking at more online and digital line of sight for their invoice and payments process, a portal is a good add-on solution where you can retrieve your documents, collaborate with your customer instead of sending a bunch of emails back and forth and calling their call center, and distribute some of that document capture and basic data entry out to your customer, out to your network. Also wanted to mention the look and feel of the portal. So your vendor, your company's branding, pictures of your office, whatever, can be used to provide a better customer experience, as you can use these to customize for each vendor. Just a very simple example of how this works. So vendor logs into on a secure portal site and uploads their invoices. Back at the customer site, OnBase then ingests those images and data and routes them for processing through a workflow. Customer AP team member views the invoices and approves them. And then once approved, the invoice data flows back to the ERP so it can be posted for payment. So some background on the AP Solution app. We actually just released version 3 of this app, and this solution provides users with really this intuitive mobile-ready interface to view and approve invoices on their preferred device. Any approver with the correct permissions can use the app to approve invoices on the go, and really simple, so minimal training is needed. So based on the user permissions configured, the interface will change. For example, some users may be able to only read or view invoices, while others will be able to approve or reject invoices and or modify some of that invoice GL coding lines. Interface includes the ability to filter on invoice header values to find invoices faster. You can filter on invoice number and vendor name, for example. You can also use text-based type ahead search within GL line codes and edit those lines per your business units and their applicable codes. You don't need to memorize these, as drop-down lists of autocomplete options will be shown. And you can also mark up invoice images with annotations and leave notes within the images to call attention or raise questions or concerns regarding any invoice. And lastly, there's a dashboard that will show the invoice you have in your queue to review and approve, as well as the overall data on outstanding invoices and their approval statuses. Again, simple graphic illustrating the solution and how it works. So once the invoices are now on base, the user can view a dashboard invoice status details, including history, pending invoices, and critical invoices. They can then take action on those invoices by reviewing, approving, or rejecting them, and leaving notes and annotations on the images to pass along information to the next reviewer. They can also add and edit GL coding lines, which, as I mentioned, uses data lookups to pre-populate these values within drop-down lists, so you don't have to remember them all. And the AP Invoice Approval app is mobile responsive, meaning it can be used with a desktop, tablet, or smartphone device. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Colby.
Great, thank you, Jason. Should be seeing my vendor portal now, everyone.
Seeing it, Colby. Thank you.
Perfect. So, yeah, as Jason said, I'm going to take you through the portal, then a responsive web app, but a little more of what we're looking at now. So, what you see now on the screen is the Hyland Content Portal for AP. This can extend on-base functionality outside your organization to strengthen vendor relationships by digitizing the submission of documents, such as invoices and requests and inquiries related to those submissions. Additionally, this portal can not only allow users to submit invoices, but certificates of insurance and W-9s. This can help cut down on manual processing or the need for internal members of your organization to process these types of documents. This also removes your paper submissions, which boost overall AP efficiency since users in your department are not scanning and indexing those documents. And this then allows those users to focus on high-level tasks that keep processes moving. I am logging in as an already existing vendor. However, vendors that have not registered are guided through a registration form to ensure that the necessary information is gathered. Upon completion, the form can be submitted to workflow for approval. Once approved, an email notification could alert that user that now they have access and are able to log into that vendor portal. So you can see on the screen there the samples of what we would do, and then really think of it as we're passing that over to OnBase, and it can follow any required or desired, in that case, user approval path as necessary. But let's go ahead and I'll go back and log in. So once logged into the portal, a user has a variety of options available. And keep in mind, portal security is going to always ensure that the vendor logging in only has access to the content that you've deemed appropriate to them. We can customize the look and feel of this portal. So, ours is, white. You could put your corporation's colors on there. We've got a landing page there with the headquarters of Hyland Industries. And then we can do other things like, so it's not only like coming in and maybe doing a search for invoices. We could post things like company bulletins. We could also ask to do things like maybe if there was, like I said, some additional supplier documentation was required here. I got the option there. When I click it, you'll notice there I've got my search options. I can see what I've submitted and my date for submission, as well as my ability to download those. You can also create a form list. Right, so we can help with the submission of things like a W-9. So if I go next here, we can, take off those required fields, dynamic forms in the sense that if I need to put my EIN number in there as well, and then just a browse out or drag and drop right onto the form. And then we can upload that to the repository and really think of any of these forms, whether on the back end side, we want to submit that, we can send notifications, let users know, hey, we've got a new W-9. Do we want to verify that it has everything that we need? and we can check that off. But all of that are really options for sort of extending or customizing your portal based upon your needs. So let's get back to what I logged in to do here. So, I came into this portal to submit an invoice, and whether, and I kind of think it helps to show that, I probably would have this invoice up on another screen there. So I'm going to put in my date and invoice and my amounts, but, we can set that up within the screen. So submit an invoice, a little bit of text to help guide you through. So in this case, I only want one invoice per upload. I don't want, users submitting 10 invoices per upload there. And mind you, the solution can't handle that. It's just some guidance there for these manual uploads of what we want to do. So let's go ahead and add a little bit there. I'll just type this in. Bear with me. And add that PO number, so then we're verifying against that. This point, I could drag and drop right here, or what I'm going to do is just browse out, grab that invoice. It's now been uploaded. We'll go next. Typo there, so some good validation that worked in. Like to say on purpose, on accident. There we go. We'll go next. We get a review. So our summary page there with their information. Now we'll go ahead and submit this invoice. Excuse me. Now submitted through the portal. And keep in mind, we are tied through an existing AP invoice automation solution. So it's now submitting that to OnBase, and then the rules would dictate within the invoice automation solution what's next. So in a sense, are we verifying the information? Are we ensuring the value against the PO, and then perhaps submitting it for approval or submitting it to the ERP as necessary? So another good feature there of the portal. So let's just imagine I'm interested in that invoice I just submitted, and some time has passed. So 2-3 weeks have passed, and I would like to reach out to Hyland Industries and understand what is the status on that invoice. And so as those are going through workflow approval process within the OnBase system, we can also share that status right here through the invoice. So right there, we've got our invoice management, and later I can come back and talk about the ability to search on, open, approved, paid, or declined invoices. But we can see the invoice I submitted right there is still in a status of open. Another good option that we've got the ability to do here is that I can submit an inquiry. So if I have a question about this, as opposed to calling in or emailing, I can submit an inquiry form. It's going to pull forward things like the invoice number, invoice date, and the amount. And I can say an issue. Go next there. It's going to then pull my contact information automatically, so users are not expected to re-enter that. So they'll have my phone number and my email address to contact me directly. So next, again, I get a summary to review everything I'm submitting, and now submit that form. And so kind of like submitting the invoice with an AP approval invoice process set up, the same thing can occur there with that inquiry form, meaning on the back end, OnBase can monitor for the submission of the form. We can set up email notifications. Users could handle that entire process through Outlook integration if they wanted to, without ever feeling like they're leaving Outlook. They could view that form, perhaps go to the ERP and investigate and understand if there was an issue. So, a lot of options on how much processing or how we could assign that to a user within your organization is always going to be available there as sort of the back end of that workflow process on that inquiry. Another thing we can do here, right? So, I could search for purchase orders, pretty straightforward, some contact us. We could even post bulletins if there's some information you'd like to share. But like I said, we also can determine what my statuses are for those invoices and give those users the ability to search open invoices or paid invoices. So if I'm doing some research, I could say, I want to see every one that has a status of paid before today. and do a search there and get a hit list of those invoices back. And then again, I've got the ability to download these as necessary. So we're just storing those as the invoices in the same format as they come in with that same image, giving that user the ability to download and do whatever may be necessary for it at that time. Okay, so next I am going to completely switch gears here, right? So what I've been showing so far is really imagining with me that I am an external user to the organization. So now let's say I am actually a part of the organization. I don't really come into the system that often. Imagine maybe I'm a departmental head, and so I only really want to come in and approve invoices as necessary. And to do that, I'm going to be using the next tool we spoke about, the AP Invoice Approval app. The AP Invoice Approval app is a persona-based application that delivers critical decision-making tasks to individuals with invoice approval responsibilities. Excuse me. The web app dashboard provides users a simple view of the invoices that still need to be reviewed and approved, as well as invoices that may previously have been approved or rejected, as you see there in the screen. So a nice thing is kind of think of it as a dashboard that's right in the center of the screen. And I'm going to show this again at the end, but I don't know if you noticed there when I opened that and sort of resized it, this is a web responsive app. So users could pull this up on a mobile device or a tablet. And depending on the sizing, it will automatically adjust for those users. But I'm using it here on the desktop. We also have the ability to really sort these out and bring it to attention. Hey, I've got a critical invoice for Sanderson Consulting that I need to take care of right now. And so I can just go right in here, and if I had multiple, I could see all. But we've got the option of selecting the invoice. Right. And again, for me, I want that a little bit bigger. I can move that around. I can resize that invoice. So if I want to be able to review that, those are options that I've got. I can show the invoice number, vendor name, date, and due date there, as well as the ability to show the actual GL line items involved with this invoice. So there you can see, from my perspective, everything looks good. And now I can also approve this directly from the app. So we'll go approve. We can specify configurable approval comments. So these can be whatever you want as far as straight approved or maybe approved with follow some comments, but I'm just going to approve it. Select approve. That item has now been moved out of my critical invoices queue. Other things that we can do, right? So, I've got some time here. I want to go in and view all my overdues for this vendor. I could go and in this scenario, I'm going to go in and reject one. So as I'm going through this process there, reviewing things like the GL line items there, I can see this is maybe assigned to the wrong department, assigned to the wrong cost center. I've also, right from this app, got the ability to reject it. And we can set up different rejection reasons. So again, this would be configured based on the reasons you may be using within your organization. So I could say, not my document, wrong cost center. Reject that from within this app. And now that will go back into the AP workflow, and then it really will follow whatever rejection path or essentially reprocess that and ensure that we've got the right GL line items assigned to that invoice. Main screen too, it's another feature that we've got is that I've got the ability to always go back and view my past approvals. I've got the ability also from that screen, I can show my past rejections. And then even within those comments that we assigned are going to still be included here. So I've got the option, to see the comments or why they were passed back. So wrong cost center. We're constantly updating and changing this application. So another feature we're adding too is if we want the ability to add notes to this application and display those either on the document or in a sidebar, we've got that as an option too. Just really, it really depends on your organization, how much you want to add. Is comments enough? Do I want a list of running notes? We can do that as well. So what all can be added is up to you. It's a very configurable and dynamic application. So last thing I want to show is everyone on the call. If you've got your phone out already, you do have the ability to try this out. So right there on the screen, if you want to pull your camera up and you hit that QR code and a link will pop up and you can try there on your mobile device. Or alternatively, you could go to HTTPS. I won't say the whole thing, but that link there in the middle is an option for you to actually just enter that in to your URL bar and navigate there directly. So with that, I've come to the end of the presentation of what I plan to show. So I think at this time, we are going to open this up to any questions there or back to Jovi.
Great, thank you so much, Colby. So we've reached the Q&A portion of today's demonstration. If you haven't already asked your question, or if you think of any more questions, you can type your questions into the chat box and hit send to submit them. We do already have a few questions here. Our first question, is there a verification process for the W-9?
I think you went a little. Is there just a verification process for the W-9? Was the only question correct?
That's our first question, yes.
Yeah, and so if you're talking about a third-party verification, I think that could be built in. But we can set a review up so that gets submitted, and a user is notified to go and review that. That is an option that we could do there as well. So it could be configured, is what I'd say.
Great. Another question we have here. Are these solutions sold as individual components or are they part of a larger invoice processing automation solution?
That is a great question. So the way we would typically do that is that we would set up an AP invoice automation solution with you. And then the items like the content approval application or the portal would be configured to then access that externally into that existing application built on the OnBase platform. And the same with the AP approval app. It also would be connected to content that is being processed within OnBase.
Great. Our next solution, excuse me, our next question. How many years have these solutions been available?
Oh, wow, Jason, you got an idea on that? It's a long time. So we've been in the AP solution business for quite some time. So, the company's been around since 91, 92. And I've been here over 10 years and this was the AP invoice automation was one of our primary focus areas.
Yeah, I think the question is around the solutions we demoed today.
Solutions that we demoed.
Vendor portal AP approval app. I mentioned the AP invoice approval app. That's version 3. So that's 3 to 4 to 5 years in development there. The vendor portal, I think, is around the same time. So it's been quite a few years now as we've released these and further developed them, again, to add complementary solutions on top of that AP solution.
Another question that just came through. Does the vendor have the ability to set up banking information through?
Joey, can you repeat that one? I heard banking information through and then it got cut off.
Sure. Does the vendor have the ability to set up their banking information through the portal?
They could do that. That would just be a configuration if they're wanting to pass that in internally. Go look and see. I don't know if there was a sample set up, but yeah, that could just be a form with information that we capture. That could be an option. Yep, I would say yes.
Great. Another question. Can invoices be automatically imported by email? And is EDI invoice support?
Yes. So we do have an automated mailbox importer is what we call it. And so you could have the invoices being received automatically via a mailbox importer and then go through the appropriate and really that's where your requirements will define that solution. So if they're coming in about via email, it could go through OCR extraction. It could then go through the approval processing and then out for, in this case, for like non-PO instances where a user approves it could be an option. Or kind of, I think of it as a one-off. Users can go here and upload the invoices like you saw me do today. I really think of it as it's all options will just need to be configured to receive them. And the EDI was the one I missed too. Yep. So we can even receive EDIs and send those through for processing too. It can account for all of those.
Great. Another question. When it comes to setting up the approvers that would use the invoice approval app, where are those user permissions configured?
Those permissions are configured in OnBase. So think of those accounts as being configured within the OnBase platform. Those user groups and who they should have access to is set up within OnBase. And then that's how we restrict access to who logs in should only be seeing either content assigned to them, or in the case of like the vendor portal, we can do the same concept of we are narrowing them down only to the vendor information that they should see based on their, their account information. It's at the data level.
Great. We have some more questions here. What is involved in implementing the solution?
Not sure which one they're meaning there.
Yeah. Is a full
Maybe
solution
just
or-
cover both of them.
Yeah.
I would just cover the vendor portal and the AP invoice approval app, Colby.
Well, I just want to say, as part of that is what we would do. It goes a little beyond just what we're talked about today. So if we wanted to implement one of these solutions, what we'd want to understand is, how many invoices are you processing a year? How are you doing it today? The number of PO versus non-PO, what's your ERP? And then once we get to that level, we can determine, how we can process those in OnBase. And then we would really talk about how do we extend that functionality, to external vendors if necessary, if that's the part you're talking about, or B would be the approval app would just be part of your solution where we would be, as opposed to, maybe sending an email or expecting them to log in, they could just log in through the AP approval app and see their assigned invoices based upon the configuration of the solution, right? That's how it determines who the approver is, and they would automatically see those when they log in to the app, I mean.
Great, thank you for that. Someone is wondering, how do you handle sales tax and freight charges and other unexpected fees on an invoice?
That would be, I mean, that's getting into kind of the nitty gritty details. We can handle that. I guess it would determine, or are we trying to OCR that, capture it, and then a process that, I mean, it would be part of built into your solution is typically how we would handle that. So what Jason's showing here, like the approval app or the content portal, that would be actually more back in the system itself. And we would need to determine what to do if and when we're capturing that information and how we handle it. It would be more of a greater solution discussion. And those are great questions. And that's sort of the whole process would work. If you'd work with an account executive at Hyland, then we would work also with our internal resources, a person like me, or even somebody that's just a specialist in AP. And then we talk through those discussions and then come up with solutions. Or talk through those requirements and come up with solutions, I'd say.
We have another question here. Can you tell me more about the reporting available with the solution?
Reporting that I showed, excuse me, today was really kind of think of it as reporting to due dates for that individual that's using the AP invoice approval app. But that's not the only reporting we have. So, I keep kind of going back to the OnBase system. Reporting can be as detailed as you want it to be. So we can say items in flight, We can talk about reporting against whether they're waiting for approval, whether we have exceptions, whether vendors don't exist. All of that becomes really clear as far as once we're really processing those, and then we would determine what to do with it at that point again. So that's kind of goes back to the greater solution would be handling those, and it's not one size fits all. That's where, we would work with you and build the requirements out based on all of those items that you may want and really go from there.
Yeah, and Colby, what I'll add to that, and jump in here too, if you want to add a little bit more to this, but there's also reporting on the front end of the capture piece, right? So if we're doing the intelligent automation engine, we're capturing the invoices and extracting the data intelligently. You're going to get some reporting from that as well, as far as like straight through processing. How many, did it go through without having to be, based on your criteria for accuracy and confidence that it was extracted correctly? How many of those go through, that first pass? So there's some reporting that can be done on the front end of the capture side as well.
Great, thank you for that response. Another question that just came through, does your system support multiple currencies and languages, and can it be deployed for global suppliers?
It can, and so the software itself can support multiple languages. I'm trying to think of the number offhand, but it's essentially all of your major languages can be supported, as well as the tax. So just again, the tax part would be built in, but likely if we're talking about an OCR extraction system, we would build that into, the location and the tax we're extracting it appropriately. And then again, it would be configured as part of the, not what we showed today. It would be kind of the behind the scenes on-base side of it would be configured to handle and process it appropriately based on the values that it's finding during extraction.